Hi all. Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. The Royals, we actually have a little bit of news about the Royals. We all know that it's been very quiet this week because they're all on vacation in Balmoral, but in Scotland. But today we actually have some. So let's just jump in and go with what we have. This particular video is going to be shorter than the usual one, but that's okay. All right, move on. Our pictures we're starting off today with were sent to me by my follower named Andrea. This is a normal winter's day in Cape Town. Beautiful. All right, these next photos were taken by my follower Diane. Construction on this bridge you're looking at began in the year 1038 and completed in 1042, and it's still in use today. They're saying for cars, bicycles, and horse-drawn carts and people. This is in France. She also took these absolutely gorgeous photos that you're looking at out of her apartment window. All three were taken out of her apartment window. Could you imagine that's what you see when you look out your window? Jealous. All right, moving on. I want to let everybody know good news. HD Tutor is back up online on YouTube. It's, I told you guys in my other video, I thought they were taken down by accident. I thought that they would, fix it, and they did. HD Tutor is back up online. So there you go. Nobody had a hand in taking him down. It was a copyright infringement, and anybody who's claiming otherwise is now going to look not very smart. All right, moving on. Next up, we're going to look at a comment put by one of my followers, and she says, I know this is small, so I'm going to help you. She said, Sue, I absolutely love you. You're my favorite YouTuber, but please stop saying you didn't have time to comb your hair. I have long hair. In a hurry, it takes me 2 minutes to comb it, and you are the one recording your videos. You can record them when you're ready. You're starting to remind me of a Markle. Are you a narc? Okay. First of all, I never said I didn't have time to comb my hair. I just said there are some days when I'm unable to get myself ready. There are days when I just don't have I know that sounds crazy, but there are days I just don't have the energy or the wherewithal. I just can't explain it. There are days when I don't get dressed. I can't explain it. It is just what it is. That doesn't make me a narc. That makes me lazy. Okay, moving on. And just for that, I'm going to record like this morning. I want to have a serious talk for 1 second before we move on with the other stories of the day. I received a message on Twitter from somebody. Now, I'm going to read this to you right off of Twitter, which is right in front of me. I'm not slamming this person. I'm not even going to give you this person's name. I'm sure they meant well, but what this person sent me is a message that said, you know what? It's time to pay the Sussex Squad back for the rumors of William cheating with Rose. So let's start making this trend. And she sent some stuff about, I don't know, Meghan being in LA with somebody. I'm not going to do that. My stuff, I report what I see on NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, ITV, the BBC. I'm not just going to throw stories out because, listen, we know how the Sussex Squad operates, but I'm not operating that way. A lot of YouTubers don't operate that way. And I'm not going to put something out to try to get back at the Sussex Squad. I research my stuff. I try to make my stuff as accurate as possible. And you guys also know that have followed me for a while that if I make a mistake, I'm the first one to admit I made a mistake and I retract what I said. And by the way, we have another story about that today that we're going to be covering. No, I'm not upset with the person who sent it to me. I'm simply telling you guys that I will not engage in that kind of behavior. All right, now let's move on. All right, the Queen, who is still at Balmoral, sent a message to Pakistan expressing her concern about the flooding that's been going on there. And typical of Queen Elizabeth, even though she's having mobility issues and she's laid up in bed, she's still working, you know what I mean, and thinking of others. All right, let's move on. Prince Charles and Prince Edward went to Sunday church together again, and again, Lady Louise joined them. Tim Lawrence, Princess Anne's husband, also accompanied them to church. It's the only glimpse we're really getting of the royals while they're all in Scotland, because, they're behind those walls. We don't see them. All right, let's move on to our next story. Prince Charles is going to guest edit The Voice News. Now, this celebrates achievements of the Black community over the last 4 decades. He's going to be touching on education, Commonwealth, community cohesion, faith, climate, and the arts. I think that's going to be fabulous. I'll be looking out for that when it's released. All right, moving on. Really quickly, I put this up the other day after I translated it, and it's a French magazine, and people were asking why I didn't show the original. Here's the original for you. Okay, happy? All right, moving on. Moving back to the whole Spotify podcast, it's being reported that Meghan Markle was given a warning because apparently she said the word I, referring to herself, over 200 times with Serena Williams. The whole podcast was about her. Serena barely got a word in edgewise. And it's been, said that Mariah could be a very difficult person to interview. So I think it'll be interesting to see how this next podcast goes. Now, since Serena Williams is such good friends with Meghan Markle, how many times did we hear it? They're the best of friends, they're good friends, blah, blah, blah. And yet she didn't even give Serena the chance to, go on about her book and highlight her book, which is coming out. That's right, Serena Williams has a book coming out on September 27th, but you wouldn't know about it because Meghan's not promoting it. Not at all, which I find absolutely shocking for somebody who's supposed to be uplifting women and be such a good friend. All right, moving on. All right, next up, it's being reported that Spotify stock is now sinking to its lowest price ever. But the CEO says, but we're nothing like Netflix. So M. Crow, one of my followers, as you can see, had a comment on that. And I agree with that comment. The Spotify employee, whoever it was that authorized $28 million to Harry and Meghan, should be fired for their mistake. So what was the biggest part of the mistake that they made? Well, here's my thought process. It's being reported that they actually built a luxury recording studio for Meghan in her house. I guess that was part of the deal. Are you kidding? So now they've built this recording studio and her podcast is a dud. No wonder they're losing so much money. We know what's going on here, guys. The podcast has been absolutely savaged, but there's a massive PR push going on to try to get Meghan seen in a better light. Now, why do you guys think that that's going on? My thought process is it might have something to do with this article that just came out. Let me explain. So this article came out from a magazine called The Cut, and it sounds like something that Meghan would write. It's full of that same flowery, crap. So like in the article, I'm going to give you some examples. It says that Archie toddles into the room and listens to her listens to her chest with the stethoscope going thump, thump, thump in his chest. And Archie giggles and toddles out. Who does that sound like? That sounds like the bench. Then she goes into this whole thing about the scent fills the air from her Soho House branded rose water candle, that kind of thing. Then she leans over and whispers, I'm going back on Instagram, please. Like, we all know that she's never left social media. We're all aware of that. I don't know why she thinks it's such a big thing. But wait, it gets worse. She again brings up that she had to hand over the TIG, her passport, her freedom, all of that. Yeah, once again, she was a prisoner in the palace is what's being insinuated. She talks about, I want to be able to share pictures of my children, and in the family, you have to give them to the royal rota first. And then she said, why would I give the very people that are calling my children the N-word a photo of my child before I can share it with the people that love my child? Okay, could somebody please show me one article where her children were called the N-word anywhere in the UK while she was part of the royal family? The N-word, I want to see it, because I don't remember that ever happening. Then she says they shut down Sussex Royal, which is a lie. We're all aware that that website is still very much up and running, and that Instagram posts are being tagged to it, so it's being updated. Yeah, another lie in another article. Shockingly enough, you guys, she then takes another swipe at the royal family and talks about her declining mental health and Harry's declining mental health, and they had to escape. Then she talks about the Megxit turns. They're not going to make appearances for the Queen. They can't use their HRH. They have to make their own money. And she begrudgingly admits that Prince Charles gave, and I'm air quoting her, some financial assistance for the first year. Are you kidding? She covers the Oprah interview where she doubles down on what she said and claims that she wasn't lying, okay? Now then it moves on to, she's crouched in the entryway, her arms wrapped around Black Lab Pula, and a tribute to an early date during the couple's whirlwind romance, and the front doors are thrown wide open out into the backyard, and she stands and smiles with the perfect level of warmth, the gleam of her teeth rivaled only by the shininess of her blowout, backlit by the late morning light in a scene that looks like a Nancy Meyer cinematic interior town and country. You guys, I'm not kidding. That's what it says. I'm not kidding. It sounds like the flowery crap that she writes. Then she talked about going to see their house, and one of the first things my husband, she'll never call him Harry. Have you guys noticed that? She never says him by his name. My husband. One of the first things my husband saw were these two palm trees she cooed. See how they're connected at the bottom? My love, it's us. I mean, oh my gosh. I'm telling you, she wrote this article. Harry, as I told you the other day, he's her backup. He just gets walking parts. And in the middle of this interview, he walks in, suddenly appears, and shakes his hand and, says hello. And, we're fixing all of these things, the pipes, and that's a whole story in itself, Harry says, exasperated. And then, of course, Harry doesn't have too much left to say. And of course, he says, she said she's not a model. And I told her, of course you can be a model. And she's like, I'm a mom. And he says, you can be both. Yeah, here we go. And supposedly they run Archewell from their shared home office from two plush club chairs side by side behind a single desk, facing into the room like thrones. You cannot make this up. Then she goes on to talk about how she's a normal mom, and she takes Archie to, classmates' parties, and there was a bouncy house, and I get in, and blah, blah, blah. They talk about Harry's playing polo, and they have a close-knit group of friends. They have lunch and dinner at each other's homes, including former makeup artist and entrepreneur Victoria Jackson, who has become a close friend. They met her through Gloria Steinem. Jackson invented the no makeup, and she made a fortune selling her products on QVC in the 80s. Then she goes ahead and starts whining about the UK press again. You guys, this whole article is a joke. Like, I'm not kidding. She even touches on her father. She says she grew up close to her father, but the fissures in their bond were publicized often by him, blah, blah, blah. She says, I don't stay in sadness for long. Instead, she uses it to discuss toxic tabloid culture. Harry said to me, I lost my dad in this process. It doesn't have to be the same for them if it was for me, but that's his decision. So she's basically saying the fracture between Harry and his dad is Harry's decision. She has nothing to do with it. You get where this whole article is going? It's all about saying I'm an innocent person and everything's on Harry. Now, towards the end of this article, they're in a sitting room where a massive grand piano is sitting that Tyler Perry apparently gifted her as a housewarming gift. Write the soundtrack of your life, he told them. The thing is, neither one of them play piano. Like, then she talks about, I think forgiveness is so important. It takes a lot more energy to not forgive, but it takes a lot of effort to forgive. And yet she still hasn't gone to see her dad. This article is such a PR push piece. This is why people don't like her. And that's what she doesn't get. Oh my goodness. All right, moving on. So the entire article is about her, and Harry didn't even get one photo. This is what I'm talking about, guys. They're pushing her, and Harry is being left in the dust. It's horrible. I feel so bad for him. But what I find interesting is that she expects people to believe that they're just now getting back on Instagram when we've known all along that they've never left. There you go. And I have to agree with Richard Palmer. They're tone deaf. Apparently, Harry and Meghan have learned no lessons. All this does is raise up Meghan, swipe at the royal family, confirm that she still believes the lies she told on the Oprah show, and they've learned nothing, including her copying Diana and wanting to be Diana 2.0. There you go. All right, before we move on, I saw this on Twitter. I just had to pull it, and it's just so spot on. I thought one of the reasons Harry defected was because he didn't want a life going from one public engagement to the next, but isn't that basically what he's doing? 2 steps behind Meghan the whole way. Absolutely. Spot on. Okay, articles are coming out saying that Harry and Meghan are unlikely to visit the Queen at Balmoral amid their ongoing row with the security detail. Well, the other thing is you have to be invited. They have not been invited. The Queen doesn't want to see them. I think it was reported already if they wanted to see the Queen, they'd have to do it by Skype or Zoom or something. Yeah. All right, let's move on to this other story now that caught my attention. So now let me just say I don't know who these people are. Okay, I don't. But this is Renardo, and as you can see, he says that he's Lawrence's alternate account. Again, I don't know who that is. I have no clue. But as you can see, he said, I suggest you fully retract your grossly defamatory tweet and apologize or get a crowdfunder going because you've got 24 hours or you'll be hearing from my lawyers. Then he went on his regular account, tagged that tweet, and said, the days of shutting down free expression by calling people a racist are finished. This man has 24 hours to sincerely apologize, or he becomes involved in the most expensive legal action of his life. So this guy, Nels Abbey, who put up the original post, said, as requested, I sincerely apologize to Laz Fox and Calvin Robinson for describing them as racists, and I retract my statement. I don't see the one about Calvin, so I'm not sure what he wrote there, but there you go. Now with that, Lawrence Fox wrote, thank you for your retraction. We should meet for coffee. Let's try to find common ground. That is the way you handle things. You never back down from a bully. And I completely agree with this statement. The best thing you can do for society is find someone you disagree with and have a civilized discussion with them. That is how we can all navigate through these times. Spot on. Yeah, you should spread that message around a lot on Twitter, my friend. All right, I'm closing with Harry and his BF Nacho. He can't keep his hands off this guy. That's very obvious. All right, interesting that another interview has come out where Meghan is swiping at the royal family and trying to claim that things that are going on are due to Harry or due to other things we all misunderstand. You know, while she's posing in couture, of course. Oh my God, you guys, like, it's never ending. I'm telling you, it's never ending. All right, so I want your comments. Don't forget to leave them below. You know how I feel about them, okay? Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to be notified of future uploads. If you've already hit that button, double check to make sure that you are still subscribed. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter, Getter, and Rumble. You can email me. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund and through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.